Hi, so my name is Tiffany DeCordova and I'm a junior here at CBU. I attend most classes on campus, but I do some online just because it fits better with my work schedule and my school schedule. So here I am, and I hope you guys enjoyed my literature review and capstone project on fetal alcohol syndrome. So fetal alcohol syndrome, I chose this topic because I was honestly not very knowledgeable about it. I've never met anyone or known anyone with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, which is also what it's called. So, being that I am considering going into special education, I thought that this was a good topic to introduce myself to and just really grow in the knowledge rather than, which I know a lot of you did, and they're great topics like autism and ADD. But I, for one, am very knowledgeable on that. I've done many research on that, and I just wanted to grow in something that I wasn't very knowledgeable about. So that's why I chose fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. So I just wanted to introduce that. So what exactly is fetal alcohol spectrum disorder? It is where a pregnant mother drinks while she is pregnant, and that baby that is in her belly gets exposed to the alcohol and then has to live with the lifelong effects. So it's very heartbreaking, and this topic was something that was very hard for me to stay unbiased about because I, for one, am very passionate about the well-being of kids and how strongly education is in a child's life. And because of the mother's inability to stop drinking while she was pregnant, the child now has to suffer with these disabilities. So it was very hard for me, and I hope you guys see that I tried my best to remain unbiased, which I think I did a pretty good job on, but I just want to make it clear that fetal alcohol spectrum disorder really shouldn't be something that exists, but unfortunately it does, and it's not just in the United States. In my actual paper, my literature review, I found out that Australia is actually the most common place for it to occur, which kind of seemed weird to me, but once I did the research, which I'll tell you guys about shortly, it was actually very interesting. So what exactly is fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, also known as fetal alcohol syndrome? Like I stated, it's where a pregnant mother drinks while she's pregnant and then that baby gets exposed to it. FASD is something that's very hard to determine because it's not always something seen so easily up front. So doctors and the Center for Disease and Control have identified that approximately 0.2 to 1.5 infants in every 1,000 births in the United States, they have fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. So no, that's not that many, but it shouldn't be something that exists. So it's a developmental disorder which can lead to problems including learning disabilities, hearing disabilities, hypertension, and social and behavioral struggles. Unfortunately, not much can be done for children with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, but there is hope. So once I dive a little bit deeper into my paper, I hope that you guys see that there really are ways to improve their lives, and it really is great that so many people have taken on this disability and made it something, brought it to life, because not many people in society know about this disorder, and it's really heartbreaking because it's all over whether we see it or not. So the main thing to tell if a child has fetal alcohol spectrum disorder is this little area right here. If a child has fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, that won't really be there. So that little crease that we have, it's kind of non-existent in a child with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. So that's kind of the way that I recognize it most. I've been kind of because I work at a grocery store, so whenever I see kids, I'm always kind of looking at that crease, and it's never something that I noticed before. But now that I've done this research, it's something that I look out for, and luckily, so far, I haven't seen any children without that crease, but I know it is out there, so I'm glad to see that it's not as common and popular, but it is still around, unfortunately. So So let's dive into the actual literature review at this point. So fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, it can affect many different areas of a child's life, whether that is academically or like health-wise. So one thing that I want to start off with discussing is that fetal alcohol spectrum disorder can affect hypertension. So a study of researchers from Georgia State University, Jonathan Cook, Mary Ellen Lynch, and Claire Coles, they researched the connection between fetal alcohol spectrum disorder and hypertension in young children in 2019. So it really showed that blood pressure is high in students and children with fetal alcohol syndrome, which that could be because of age, gender, race, medications use, and obesity status. But they did find that overall children with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder do have higher hypertension, which I thought that was kind of interesting. So, and then, like I said, that another fetal alcohol spectrum isn't just in the United States. It's in some of the articles that I found was Australia, Canada, and South Africa. So the Australia one, which I really wanted to talk to you guys about, is Australia is kind of known for having higher rates of alcohol consumption. So fetal alcohol spectrum is most common in Australia, which I never knew about Australia being high alcohol consumption. So that was kind of interesting to hear. And then so there are ways for a child to get help. So that could be through speech language pathology therapy, getting an in-class aide, which will be really beneficial for them because they will be able to stand by that kid and help them if they're having trouble reading an assignment, having trouble understanding what the teacher is doing. So a lot of times parents don't want to put their children in special ed, and it's honestly what's best for them. So I hope that fetal alcohol spectrum does stop being as common as it is now, but unfortunately it's all up to the parents at that point. So thank you for listening to my capstone paper, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope that you guys take the time to read the actual paper itself because there's so much more information. So thank you and happy holidays.